Welcome back to Railroads Online, and this is episode 21 of the playthrough series. And we are up at the coal mine, and I've already cleared a whole heap of trees up here and cleared a little bit of the path on the way down. So the first thing we need to do up here is to start to put in some of the rail in front of the loading and unloading section. And if we look carefully here down the edge of this unload platform, you'll notice that the two platforms don't line up. But this platform here lines up with the loading chute. And this one here is half a track further in. That's not too much of a problem with the current loading mechanic, because you can load just that little bit further away from the platforms. So like we normally do, we'll start off with a ramp, which gets us up a little bit higher. Now at this location, we are actually going to put the groundworks a little bit higher than what I normally do, for the simple reason, and I'll pull it out and I'll show you what happens. Some of the spots here are a little bit low. There's high spots, and if you don't put your groundwork up just that little bit higher, you'll get bumps in your track. So we'll put down a single segment there and another single segment all the way out here, pointed down towards where we want the track to go. So there's bumps here, and there's one over here somewhere as well. There's a little bump that if you have the groundworks too low, it will actually interfere with the track placement. And we will get rid of the ramp so we don't accidentally use it as a sample. And now something else we're going to do here that's differently. Normally we line it up to the edge like that so that the colour bit's sticking out. On these ones, I'm going to come in just that little bit closer, and I'm going to line it up so that the edge of the outside board is equal with the legs. And pull out a second segment to get it straight. We want the outside, the board that runs longitudinal, lined up with the leg. And this kind of placement might be a problem later on in the game when we get bigger rail cars, but it's not so much of a problem now. You're still far enough away that it won't clip. Let me get it in the right spot, because this is the one I want to use as the straight bit. There we go. And now we can put a cross track on the end, which that gives us our line up. That cross track's now parallel. We can remove these bits of rail from the start, put some more groundworks out off of this end, and we are going to curve around off the end of here into this big area here so that it gives us more room to be able to put a bigger turnaround in here, because I'll put a loop up here. Normally I don't use loops, but everyone seems to like loops, so I'll build a loop. Yeah, put it in around that direction there. Okay, we'll move this cross track off to the end by building over it, and basically just putting some bits of track here in the middle and mark where the end's at so that we know where we can put our decking rail in there that shows us if we've got our rail cars in the right spot. And then delete all this stuff out the middle, and now we can put our line up in here for where we load and unload. All the way along here. Want this piece to end right at the end of here. I'll put two shorter segments in here. Now we want this here to line up, and I like to line it up pretty much here so that the two chutes line up. So we'll go to the middle of this pole. So we'll go from there for that one, and then from the middle of this pole here We'll replace that little section in the middle with some rail decking. And 2 bits in the middle of here. And to line up there with the edge of that one. And with the end of there, and then we'll just continue building out off the end until we're at the point of where we'll put a switch at the other, at basically the lead into the yard. And that'll be about as far as we make it, because it's starting to drop off and go downhill from here. So we'll end the spline there. On the end of here, we need to put a switch, and we'll just put one down so that we can get the length. And a cross track on the end so we can turn it back around. Let me delete it. And we want to have that way. Switch stand on the right and turn out to the left. And that was the phone. I probably should turn that thing off when I'm trying to record. And we'll put a little bit of groundwork out here. And then we'll run another piece along, because we're going to put a parallel passing lane in here. Another segment which will get us somewhere near the end. Now we'll do the spacing for the passing track as we do it normally, with a cross-track spacing distance apart. And then we'll put one of these in here. Now we can build back our passing lane from off of here, and we know it'll build straight because the direction we place the cross-track in, this center tie tells us which direction the cross-track can be built over. And I will put a little bit more of a yard up here than what I normally do because it's so far away from everywhere. I will put in a yes, we probably want to start turning from here. So we'll end the spline there because we want it to curve around that way. And we can get rid of this one here off the end of here. Rails. There we go, we've already got our 2 parallel lines. That cross track. We need to build a little bit more groundworks out over here. We want this to curve out a little bit. So that we can make full use of the width of this little plateau that they give us up here. That should be enough. Now off of the second line here, actually we might put a little bit more groundworks at this end before we put in a little service area. So we'll run some groundworks out over here. Well, if we have to remove that piece of groundworks to get the firewood station to sit level, it won't be a problem. We've got other groundworks we can build off of on this end. And we might put one more width out there. We don't know where that curve's exactly going to fit at. grab ourselves a firewood depot. We want to have the unload side on this end, and look at that, it's going to lift up no matter where I put it. Something's gone wrong there. So let's get rid of the groundworks from underneath here. And let's see if I can get it to lay flat. And it still wants to go up in the air. Oh, there's the spot that wants to let us have it low. And just for the time being, so we can get it to line up with the edge, we will put in a couple pieces of the decking rail, and we'll try again. Where's that spot where it sat down at? There it is. And we'll bring it in close so it just touches. Doesn't want to let us place it. There it goes. So how's our line up? A little bit further away than what I normally have, and we didn't get it lined up square. Facilities, and remove it. And I'll actually pause the video here, and I'll get it in straight, and I'll come back. Okay, and that took a couple of goes to get it in. We got it in and got it nice and neatly lined up. And now we'll put a water tower here as well. And these are almost as fun to line up. Not quite as hard though, because you're only lining it up to the edge of the ties. And that should be close enough. No, we're a little bit too far away. Yeah, some easier method of getting these to fit up neatly to the track would be really good. It can be very painful, especially when you start to look down, the mouse moves extremely fast, and you're only just touching it, and it moves a mile. Not quite straight. A little bit too far away. There we go, we'll try that position. That's a little bit better. Let's pull it down and have a look and see where it lands on the track. And I think that's okay. We can get it low enough, and yep, that's close enough to center for me. And we don't have to worry about a sand house up here at the moment, for the simple reason that there's no real need for a sand house in the game yet. We don't have weather, we don't get wet tracks, we don't get icy tracks. So there's no real need to have a sand house. Now we'll put the side in on this end for stocking the wood depot. This is the same method we use for lining up any other time. Is we in that piece there, equal to the end. That one equal on the foot of the platform, and then the last one equal with the foot of the platform. Now we can put a cross track here on the end. We'll put some groundwork out first. We want a cross track. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to build straight out, and this will give me an idea of where this switch needs to be to line up back the other way. So we will need to put a curve in here. And we don't have enough groundwork, I've built it in the wrong spot. A little bit wider. . first segment is A5. And then we'll go to 18. No, we might step it all the way up to a 20. It'll get us around just a little bit quicker. We'll end it with a 5 here, but we will delete this 5 back off the end. Find a spot where it'll lay flat, and right there it'll lay flat. Not facilities, we want to delete rails. So delete these pieces off the end, and now we can put in a, and that is just not going to work, is it? So let's delete that, and one more segment. These switches are so long. And that might be pulling it just a little bit too tight, I think. We'll have a go. So we'll take these rails back off of here. That last one there. We'll actually delete that. We'll start building this over a cross track back this way so that the curve comes right off the end of the unload area. 2, 3, 4, 5. What's going to meet us up here? In the middle, it's at 22. No, I think we've come out a little bit too far. We can't quite get back. So we're going to have to remove that and have another go. And we'll remove that and hold here and drag it over the switch, so that the cross track, so we don't lose the cross track. We're going to have to turn just that little bit tighter sooner. We're going to have to make this a 7. And then from here we want to actually point at it, so that's a better lineup of a track. So we want 24. How do we fit here now? That looks better. We actually want 2 shorter segments in here so that it fits. So well, let us put it down without needing to put the piece in. Please let me put it. And sometimes it just will not let you put the piece of track down. And yeah, we'll just end the spline there. We'll build back over the top of it again, and we'll just put a piece in the middle here. And now it'll let us build it. So we'll just build over the same control points again. For that one, for that one, for that one. Put on the alt lock. Line it up straight. Put the piece in. Snap to the end and put the alt lock on again. And put the last piece here in the middle. And that doesn't exactly line up exactly how I want it either. But before we get rid of that, we do have to clean out the track we put in the middle, so we don't have duplicate tracks. Okay, and put it back in. I know I can live with that. And start out here with the delete and drag it across the switch, and it'll remove that bit. And we want to get rid of that and get rid of that. And we need to put a little bit of a tail out here that's long enough to fit the locomotive and we want groundworks. It's long enough to fit the locomotive and another 4 cars because it takes 4 cordwood cars to fill this. Now we want to get rid of this rail that's in the middle of there and build across here, there, and we'll put in another little short one, another one to the end. Hopefully that's lined up nicely. It is. Because our groundworks we didn't line up. Gone off the edge. Oh well. Let's have another try. This time we'll try and build it straight. And we shall build over the top. And how far? We'll go 2 more. That'll give us plenty of track length. Okay, and we'll end that. And now we're going to build all the way back over it again. Back the other way. So that it becomes one spline and we don't have lots of small spline sections, which increases our spline count. It also changes our re-rail direction as well. Can we get that in with a single piece? Oh, we can, but if I do that, I will not be able to put rail decking over it. So we'll put it back in under the small 3 sections. And then build back over this all the way to here. And again, we'll put this last section in, and you've got to try and make sure that it goes down level in with the ground, because if you put it on top, it'll actually put a bump in the track. And there we go. And before we finalize it, we grab our delete tool and we delete all the track out of the middle. And you've got to be extra careful to make sure you get that one out of the middle of the cross track all the way to the end, and now we have a single spline. It goes exactly where we want it to. And we can right click to put that spline in, and we can delete the rail out the middle of the And the last step, of course, here is to put in our decking rail, which we want it to face this way, which is the same direction as the alt lock off. We want it to be the same direction as the rail we placed in there. Delete the bit out of the middle. And right click to finish it. And now this is only 2 splines from that point all the way through this. To the end is 1 spline, and then this rail decking over the top is another spline. And we won't do these ones here in with the decking yet, because we want to continue the spline all the way around the end so that it's a single spline to the next object, which will be the switch where these 2 tracks converge back together again. And we will continue this corner here now. Come off of here. And you can see how your estimations of where you think you're going to go is not always where you end up at. But that's fine. It's not hard to just throw down a bit more groundworks and build again. And cross track so we can start building from it. Connect to the start and to the end, alt lock on. And let's build out some rail. And about 1 more, and then I reckon we'll start curving around and meet up around the corner. we'll put a bit of back underneath there, just so we don't run into dramas building from here. Now we're going to do the outside lane on this one first, because when we transpose this curve back to this inside lane, we want it to be the shorter lane on the inside. We want to be 5 in our first piece, and then we'll step up. We'll go 15 for this curve, I think. That'll make the inside one about 18. Now we want it to point just slightly, maybe that's one too far. So we want to come back to the right and ease back out of the corner now. And back to 0. And build in a little bit of a straight here. Okay, then on the end of here, we want to put a cross track. Not quite lined up to where I want to be. I think we need to go back to the middle of this corner and come around one more. So we'll go right to the middle of the corner, so that we're in the 15. Come around one more to 15. That one to 15. That one. And I reckon we can even fit in one more. And then ease out of the corner again with a 5. And then back to straight. That's got us pointed in a better direction. And all the way to the end of there. Now we want to measure off for a cross track on the end, and that way we can come back here and turn the switch around to face the other direction. Now we want to have the switch stand on the left and the turnout on the left. And now to get this curve here to match to this inside, we do it with the cross track trick, which is building lots and lots of cross tracks. And where's the connection? There it is. And we want it up in the air, so when you put it down, it goes back under your feet. That's what's meant to happen anyway. So let's try that again. And it still didn't do it. When you want it to do it, it won't do it. There we go. Now it went under my feet. And the next control point under my feet. All the way around the curve. Remove the ones that weren't meant to be there. How many times is it going to do it to me today that it goes in front and not behind? You try and get it in front and it won't let you put it there. And I think we need 2 more. One more should have us at the end of the curve. Okay, now we just put a cross track on each one of these here to the side, and that'll give us control points of where the curve should fit in at. And that's the timer saying time's up. So I'll I'll finish off this curve, and that will be it for today's episode. My episodes have been a little bit missing for the last couple of days. I have run out of internet data, and I have to upload either very slowly or wait until next month. So yes, this upload will take me between 7 and 9 hours to upload. And yeah, that's why I haven't been making any new episodes. And then that one, and now we can put on the alt lock, and this should fit in somewhere close to a normal. We'll go 5. And of course I needed to have a little bit of groundworks under here. It's not going to let me place the last segment down, so we'll just put it on top for the moment and delete it. And you can see if I crouch down here, see how it's put the little dip in the rail right there. That's what happens if you build to up on top. But it has given us our control points of where we can build that when we build over the top of it again to turn it all into a single spline. And delete these couple of bits of rail at the middle of here. And that last one, and now we have 2 curves that match radius and meet back up into a switch. Well, I will build this curve that runs around here and connects back onto that bit of track over there. I'll do that off camera, and I will put the finished groundworks in on this track and turn them all into a single spline between each object off camera as well. And when we come back in the next episode, we will start the 1.75% grade running down the marked route to the horseshoe, and the horseshoe's over that direction quite a way. It's about, what is it, 1.2 kilometres away from here, as you follow the marked route. Okay, thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next episode.